Welcome back to Close-Up. The reset button seems to be getting pressed quite a bit in these early primaries, particularly on the Republican side of the aisle. In the 1st Congressional District, we just saw one candidate drop out. Another is expected to launch their campaign in the weeks ahead. And there are, of course, a lot of notable contenders in the race and ready to forge ahead, including the runner-up in the 2024 CD1 primary, Hollie Noveletsky, who joins us this morning in studio.
Good morning.
Hollie, thanks for being here.
Nice to be here.
So you came pretty close.
Yes, I did.
In last year, only about 1,500 votes or so behind Russell Prescott, who was the nominee. What are the lessons learned from that race that you're going to apply to get that #1 spot?
So many lessons learned, right? Number one, I would say there are so many groups of people that we need to access, and it's very difficult. And we have to employ different modes to get different populations. Social media is tremendously important, but different modes of social media. So it's really getting to access those voters and also to access those low propensity voters. We really need to motivate them to come out and have a voice in their politics.
Why did you want to get back in this time around, and what are the issues you want to talk about in this race?
So originally I wasn't going to get back in, but then I looked around and I thought, I don't see anyone in the race that I trust to represent me, let alone my grandchildren. Last time I got in, I was angry. I was sitting home yelling at the TV, right? What had happened to world stability, what had happened to our energy, what had happened with our borders and the immigration, the illegal, the drugs, the human trafficking. It just upset me so much that I felt like I had to step up. So much of that is being addressed now by President Trump and the current administration. The border's closed. We're taking care of drugs and human trafficking. We have world peace for the most part. We've got a lot of peace agreements. And so I looked around and I thought, well, I don't need to step up. But now the real issues are trade, manufacturing, the American worker, and that's where I've been for the past 25 years. And I thought, this is really my wheelhouse. This is my strength, and I can really bring that to the table. And then we also need to look at affordability. I mean, that's the #1 thing I hear here in New Hampshire, affordability and security. And affordability looks at jobs, American jobs. It looks at housing, energy, and insurance, health insurance. And those are things that I'm really familiar with. And as when we look at security, we look at, you know, protecting girls' sports. We look at manufacturing. We need to bring back critical manufacturing. So things like pharmaceuticals. 90% of our generics are made in China and India, or our ports of import. Those overhead cranes are made in China. China can shut them off. We need to bring back that manufacturing. So there are critical industries that we need to bring back. We also need to look at our law enforcement. We need to protect and support and fund our law enforcement, including ICE. I mean, God forbid what's happening now to ICE, and our military. So those are the two things that really brought me back to the table. You are in the business of structural steel fabrication, and as you noted, that gets involved heavily with international trade, and there's a lot of interplay there in the trade issues. What in that expertise do you want to bring to Congress and that debate over tariffs right now? It's a big one. It's a big one. And I think the tariffs are a critical tool that the Trump administration is using to bring our foreign trade partners back to the negotiation table. Because we all believe in free trade, but we want it to be fair trade. And our trade agreements are not fair. So we want to renegotiate our trade agreements. And then those tariffs, I believe, will become surgically applied. So I would like to be a part of that discussion, looking at trade, foreign trade, and the application of protecting our industry and our American manufacturing and our workers.
Yeah, I mean, Republicans typically believe in less government involved in the economy. We seem to have the exact opposite right now when it comes to international trade. Do you want to see a Democratic president wielding this same kind of power over international business?
I don't think we're looking to wield power over international business. We are looking to level the playing field for the American worker, because I know in my company, as is in any company, our most valuable resource is our worker. And we need to protect those jobs, and we need to grow our manufacturing. If we grow our manufacturing, we increase jobs, we increase wages, we increase our tax base. So it's really critical that we protect and grow American manufacturing and protect the American worker.
Do you think this is working, though? Because we see now there's going to be like a bailout for the agricultural sector. You get into these stalemates on these international trade agreements, and then suddenly, you know, the American worker, the farmers, they're caught in the middle, and then you just have more government trying to fund their losses.
There is a wide range of industries that need to be addressed, and as this process moves forward, we will be able to surgically apply the interventions. So we have to let it go. It's going to be a little bumpy. I agree. It's bumpy in the first part, but it's a process, and we have to be patient. And I think in the long run, the American industries and the American worker will be much better off.
There's an interesting discussion that's evolved coming out of the tragic assassination of Charlie Kirk, that we've seen it end up in this sort of, you know, war between President Trump and these late-night comedians, Jimmy Kimmel in particular. You know, in Jimmy Kimmel's case, he misrepresented the facts around that tragic situation. But he's not somebody presenting the news. He's a comedian engaging in a monologue. Do you think the president overstepped his bounds of presidential power in trying to push him off the air and saying that the other guy should get fired too, Seth Meyers, you know, Jimmy Fallon?
I think we all have a responsibility when we have a public stage to be careful on what we say and not to incite violence and anger, especially when the country was in such a vulnerable state. We need to be truthful. We can be funny, but we need to be truthful and not incite. And I think that's really important. We all have a role in that.
And certainly the speech could have been construed to be offensive and counterfactual, but is it really the government's role to step in there, though?
I believe it's the public's role to use their valuable dollars. And that's what happened, is the sponsors didn't like it. So it was the sponsors who got him off the TV. And that is consumer power. And we need to make sure that we use that.
The political violence that we've seen, do you agree with the president that this is a one-sided problem?
I believe that we have, as conservatives, been significantly targeted. The violence and the verbal assault, being constantly called racist, you know, Nazis, fascists, really has been difficult. As a conservative, I worry about my own safety. So I think we all have a responsibility, like I said, to take it down, but there has been an uneven assault on conservatives.
As the administration tries to deal with this, though, should outside groups or left-wing organizations that may share an extremist ideology be targeted if there is no evidentiary connection or criminal nexus between them and these people carrying out the actual violence?
We need to find out who's funding these leftists, because they're not really, it's not the Republicans, it's not the Independents, it's not the Democrats, it's outside forces who are sowing the seeds of discontent and chaos because they want to bring down the country. And we need to find out who they are and stop that funding, because Antifa and all these outside forces are really being funded by outside the United States, and that's money that is coming to bring chaos and tear us down as a country. I really, truly believe that the Republicans, the Independents, and the Democrats don't want that.
As we get close to wrapping up here, obviously we saw someone get out of the race this last week. Chris Bright's no longer in. He's anticipating another arrival in the race, someone who can potentially self-fund a campaign. Do you think, and this is not a secret, that Anthony DiLorenzo is potentially interested in running? If he gets in, does that change your calculus at all?
Not at all. I know Anthony. He's a nice man. He actually was one of my supporters last time, and we've spoken. And no, if I thought that my decision was based on somebody else, I shouldn't have gotten into the field, right? But I really, truly believe I have a lot to offer, and my strengths are what is most important right now: the American worker, American manufacturing, and trade and affordability. And I feel I bring a lot to the table, and I think competition is good. It brings out the best in both of us. It allows us to have the voters hear us and compare us. I think that's beauty of this country.
All right, an interesting primary lies ahead. Hollie
Yes,
Noveletsky, thanks for joining us on Close Up. Appreciate it.